So I'm going to try as much as possible to recap as much as I can to make sure that at least you have the full background of the challenge that we're trying to solve. We've solved it, of course, with Power Query the last time, and today we are going to try to use DAX. DAX. Okay, so I hope you didn't hear that. All right, so we are live on YouTube as well. Great. So once again, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Power BI case studies, right? So I'm almost saying something else. I'm sure some of you know what I was about to say there. I was about to say something completely different. But welcome to Power BI case study webinar series. This is still part of the series for August. Of course, we're supposed to complete the case study in August. We were unable to complete that due to certain reasons, majorly time constraints, because we have to make sure that at least for every case study we take like that, we have a landmark place to stop instead of combining everything together in such a way that probably people are going to start to get lost. So what we did was we worked on a customer profiling case study. I'm going to share my screen to show that particular case study soon, and we are going to revise what the case study is all about so that we'll be able to follow through with today's class. So the last time we worked on using Power Query to solve this problem, and today we are going to be using DAX to solve the same problem. Okay, now I'm aware that a lot of people have issues with DAX. I would say, maybe I should probably say everybody has issues with DAX, because DAX has its own way of thinking, and also because you have to write. It's not like Power Query where you can just click a couple of things and get the results for yourself. We need to write things. So, but what I have to say about DAX is the fact that, you know, to really master DAX and to get grounded in DAX, you need to continue learning and putting a lot of practice hours. So I would also encourage everyone after today's session, make sure that you try as much as possible to, you know, recall everything that we are going to talk about in this session and try it out by yourself. Trust me, you are going to get stuck. Most likely, you are going to get stuck along the way. When you get stuck along the way, then you can look at the video again, play back the video, and try to correct yourself. So that's how you get to continue to improve your DAX. So the Power BI case study webinars is what we plan to run every month, one case study per month. When we are unable to finish, we'll probably schedule extra classes like we are doing today. And the primary objective is to ensure that we have things to work on whereby it doesn't depend on your own thinking. Basically, it depends on a requirement that has been given to you, because our belief is that when you have such requirements, then it's kind of like speeds up how fast and how better you become with your Power BI knowledge. So we'll cover a lot of things in the case studies. Some things are going to be Power Query based, some are going to be DAX based, and in some cases, like the case we have right now, we'll just combine both. So my hope is that today's class is going to be a little bit shorter than the last one, because I don't think we have much to cover on the DAX side of things. So my name is Ahmed Oyelowo, and I will be the one taking today's class. So this is the second case study series. It's still Ahmed, right? And I promised the last time that hopefully at some point in time, we'll have to invite some other experts to speak as well. And guess what? If there's anyone that also likes to be a part or would like to share their knowledge on a particular case study, for example, we can always discuss that as well. So just make sure you send an email to ahmed@foresightbi.com.ng. I'm going to drop that in the description to this video on YouTube, and I'm also sending it to the chat area now here on Zoom. So that's ahmed@foresightbi.com.ng if you would like to take over one of these sessions and be our speaker, you know, start building up your speaker profile so we can walk through that together and walk through your case study together as well. So once again, Ahmed Oyelowo, Microsoft MVP for Data Platform. I'm also a Microsoft Certified Trainer and a Microsoft Certified Educator, currently managing partner for Foresight BI and Analytics Global Solutions. So Foresight BI and Analytics Global Solutions, we are mostly into training and consulting, predominantly Microsoft products, Excel, Power BI, Power Apps, SQL. Camp for DA 100 coming up shortly. I think that's for 2nd of October. I will also make sure I drop that link to the description and to show you also how you can join that bootcamp. So we're looking at case studies. Like I said, still part of August, and we are profiling customers. We continue to provide the customers. We've used Power Query. We now want to use DAX. So first, let's go and take a look at that case study first, right? So we need to get a refresher. So this is a case study. I'm going to run through it very quickly again, just for the benefit of those who have not been able to go through the Power Query session. In that session, we talked a lot and we talked in depth about this case study, but I'm going to try to run through it as much as possible now. I don't want us to spend as much time as we did for the first session, which took over 2 hours. Though the time we bill for the case studies is between 2 to 3 hours, but depending on the number of steps and the number of things we have to go through, sometimes information can become overloading. So we have a telecommunication company's data sets here, and what the big idea is to take a look at a previous 6-month data sets. Right now, this 6-month data sets, I'm also going to try to share what that data set looks like shortly. Now, that data set contains information about customers' data subscription, right? That is internet data now, not the data that we use to analyze and not that data that we use to visualize in Power BI. We're talking internet subscription data now. So the data is about customers' internet subscription data and the usage over a 6-month period, okay? Now, based on that information, they are trying to profile their customers into several buckets, into several categories, based on how they subscribe to data and how they also use data. That's like the big idea. Okay, so I give you a data set. It contains my customers' data subscription and their data usage over 6 months. Now, based on a couple of rules, we are going to categorize each customer for me into certain buckets. Okay, now, before I show you the data, it's good that you always try to understand requirements before you take a look at data, so that when you now see the data, you understand your data better. At the same time, you can easily start your mind map, right, to know the solution you are going to use. So this detail I'm going to have to share with you in chat. If you are with us on Zoom right now, I'll share these details with you in chat so that you can also quickly browse through it. So eventually, the rules that we are going to use to categorize the customers is what we have right here. And the rules is largely broken down into 2 categories, right? So 2 different categories. We are going to score our customers based on their loyalty, and we are also going to score them based on their bonus usage. Now, what do we mean by these 2 things? Now, loyalty is about the number of times that the customers have purchased data. They have purchased internet data over these past 6 months, right? So our expectation is that, let's assume that we are the company now, right? So our expectation is that, the more you purchase data, the more you use data monthly, the more loyal you are to us, okay? That's why we're saying that any customer that is purchasing data every time, like we have 6-month data. So if you have purchased data 6 times, not necessarily 6 times, but if you have purchased data every single month, it can be 12 times, it can be 18 times, as long as every single month you have purchased data, then you are going to score 20 points for that as loyalty bonus based on our criteria, right? Now, if you have purchased data for 5 out of the 6 months, you get a 15 points, means you are loyal, yes, but not as loyal as this guy that purchased the entire 6 times. For people who purchase 10 times, they get 4 points. And for people who purchase less than 4 times, they are going to get 5 points, while those who purchased or those who did not purchase at all, they are still our customers anyway, so they are just going to get 1 point. That's for loyalty. That's how we score you on your loyalty to us. Then the second criteria we are measuring is your bonus usage. And this is kind of like the opposite of, of the loyalty side, the opposite of it. So we are saying that every time you purchase data like that, you always give out bonuses. If you purchase 1 gigabyte of data, for example, you're probably going to get 200 megabytes as bonus. Now, that bonus, the way it is in reality, at least here in Nigeria, is that the bonus is not 100% for you to use at daytime. If you follow Nigerian telecoms very well, you know that if they give you 1 gigabyte of bonus, for example, you know that they'll tell you 750 megabytes is for midnight and 250 is for daytime. So you really will not be able to to fully use that bonus, except you don't sleep at night. So for the bonus usage is like the opposite of the loyalty. In loyalty, it is when you purchase data every month that you get your full 20 points. For the bonus usage, it is when you don't use any of your bonuses at all. For that entire 6 months, that's when you get your full 20 points, right? And that basically continues all the way down. Okay, so in loyalty, for example, when you don't purchase data at all, that's when you get a 1 point. But for bonus usage, when you finish using all your bonuses every single month, that's when you get the 1 point, right? So at the end of the day, after scoring your loyalty and bonus, we are now going to categorize every customer into these 4 buckets. Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3, and Tier 4 customers, okay? Those who are able to score above 85%, that's when we add your points for loyalty and bonus, then you are priority customer, you are high profile customer, so we are going to serve you differently. If you score between 75 and 85, you are Tier 2, and so on and so forth, okay? Now let's look at the data sets quickly. Then I think I said I'm going to share this, so you should be on standby. If you're on Zoom, stay on standby. I'm going to share this data set with you. So this is the data, and we have every customer's primary city. We have the account number. We have the customer type. So the account number basically is what represents each customer. Like this customer, for example, this is the person's transactions over the 6 months, right? So in 1 month of August, the guy subscribed to 125 gigabytes of data and was given 56.9 bonus, right? And from the bonus, the guy did not use anyone for that particular month, okay? And then the next month, the same thing. So what we are trying to find out at the end of the day is for every customer like this, we are going to need to count how many times did you subscribe to bonus. Okay, look at this guy, for example. This guy did not subscribe to bonus at these periods, right? So when we start counting for the person, we are going to have a number that is short of the 6 months, okay? Now, from the other class, the first thing we tried to do was to validate certain things. And because this is like a consulting case study now, and everything we learn from here is how we should really try to apply, how we should try to tackle case studies that we get, okay? So the first thing I always like to do is to validate. I want to validate my data based on 1 or 2 things. So first, anytime you tell me, for example, that you have 6 months of data and you have described this scenario to me, 6 months of data, and I want to count how many times did the customer purchase. So if you check our requirements, you are going to see that it says 5 out of 6 months, 4 out of 6 months, 4 out of 6 months. It tells me that really we have 6 months of data, and if I want to do my counting, I'm expecting that the highest number of times I should see each customer on my table is 6 times, since I have 6 months of data. So that validation is what I'm going to try to do first, so that I will know how to approach the solution. Okay, so because my file is an Excel file, I will just quickly do something on this file, for example, whereby I'm going to come right here to this place, maybe just to the next column here. So let me just come here and type validation. Did this already in the last in the Power Query solution. So validation, what I'm trying to do now is I'm trying to count this customer, this account number. I want to count how many times within this data set does this account number appears. Remember what my expectation is, right? So let's make this interactive like the other one as well, right? So just not just me, I won't be the only one that is going to be speaking. So tell me, how many times do I expect, how many answers, like what's the number I expect to be my answers for my account, since I'm doing a validation?
6.
Yes, 6 times is correct, right? We have 6 months of data, and I'm basically assuming that you purchase data every month, right? If you purchase data every month, then you should have 6 transactions. That's my expectation. So I want to count how many times does this name or this account number appear within this range of data sets. That's my objective now. So on Excel, I just use equals to count if for that, count if, okay? And my count if has 2 arguments. That's the syntax, has 2 arguments. The first one is the range that I want to count from. I want to count from this range of account numbers. So I'll just highlight all the way down and I'll make sure I lock that range, right? That's my range. Then, comma, the criteria is from this range, I'm trying to count this particular account number, okay? Now, if you look at it like this, you already know the answer because it's going to count within this range. Now, it's going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for this person. So I will see 6, 6, 6, 6, 6 all over here like this. Then it goes to the next guy, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like that, okay? So that's my expectation, to see 6 all through for everyone. So you can see that my 6 right there. I'm just going to drag this down. So double click to drag down. It's kind of like a bit of about 64,000 rows of data. So it's a bit much. Yeah. Okay. So warning that I have too many applications open right now. I need to try to close some of them to manage resources. So now that's it. Basically, what I'll now do is, since I'm validating, I'm going to come to my data in Excel like this, and I will try to activate my filter button, right? Then I come to my validation column and I say, okay, the highest number I expect is 6. So if I click on my drop down, you see that I have some numbers that are more than 6. I have up to 18. So why is this? I think something is wrong. The data is not correct, or something. Then I can easily come here and just pick one of them. For example, maybe come to 8, then maybe pick one. Okay, so these guys have 8 transactions, right? They have 8 transactions. So look at one of them and try to find out why. So how come you have 8? Let's take the first guy as an example. The guy has 8 transactions and we expect 6, okay? Now, check out November. This is one transaction in November, and this is another transaction in November, which is actually possible because it's possible for you to subscribe twice in a single month, isn't it? You can subscribe twice in a single month. So that's very, very possible. So you can now say, okay, I think this is why I have multiple transactions for some people and they have more than 6. But guess what my rule says? My rules basically is about the number 6. And that's why once we start with this solution, we are going to make sure that the first thing we are going to try to do is to group or to summarize the data. Okay, what I mean by summarize the data is this. Now, for this customer, for example, he or she has 2 transactions in November, right? So if we are summarizing this, we are going to say that for this customer or for every customer, right? Can you make sure that you sum up all their transactions per month? So instead of having November like this, I should just have one single November transaction for the customer and create a total of the subscription and a total of the bonus use and everything basically for that month. Have just one single line. That's me summarizing the data. Okay, so I know that now. For me to have my 6 things that I have, I must summarize every customer per month. Okay, so regardless of whether you purchase 10 times or 15 times, I need each customer to appear just once every month. That means I'm going to have to summarize the data. Okay, now let me quickly close this and quickly share the files on Zoom. So any questions so far? Remember, we're a consulting team, so we can ask questions. We are together, same team. Any questions so far? So I'm going to share those files. Yeah.
No questions so far from my end.
Okay, awesome.
Quick question, please. My name is Olanka. I don't know if I
Okay, your voice is not so loud.
Oh, is it better now?
Not really. You're not very audible.
Oh, okay, don't worry then. I think my earpiece.
No, please go ahead. I'll try to listen to you and I can repeat the question.
Okay, so my question is this: the tiering, is it by the percentage of the bonus that was used, like it is for the number of times you subscribed? Because
okay,
if it is, by the time we summarize it and add all the months together, is it not going to affect that percentage?
Okay, so your question is that the classification or the profiling that we are carrying out, is it by the percentage of bonus that was used or not? If that's the question, right?
Yes.
Okay, so my answer to that is not by the percentage of bonus that was used, it's by whether you used or not in this case.
Or not? Oh, okay. So
yes.
It's just use or not. Okay.
It's just the usage now, not the percentage of usage.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we're okay.
All right. So I've shared, you guys on Zoom, I think I've shared the data sets. I'm now going to share I will share the case study Word documents. So please make sure you download and let's flow together. All right. So a quick recap first of the Power Query solution. Where are you? Here it is. So a quick recap. So this was where we stopped the last time. Do I need to share this file as well? I guess. So let me save this file and also share with you in case you want to work with it. So where we stopped the last time was Power Query focused, Power Query driven solution. And I'll quickly run through it as fast as possible. So I'm launching Power Query of this data now, transform data. And the things that we did, if I can still remember, steps we took the last time. We said number one thing was to get the data. Okay, so get the data. Number two thing was to summarize it because of those duplicated information. Okay, so summarize the data. And then the number three thing is to do what? To count. So we now start counting based on all of those rules. Okay, so counting now starts to take place after you summarize. You can now count how many times did you purchase out of 6 months, how many times did you use bonus out of 6 months. Okay, so Samuel, which link do you want me to share on Telegram? Which of the links? Sam.
Okay, yeah. So somebody mentioned the Telegram page. So I'm not quite sure if
Okay. Don't worry. I'm going to share the Telegram link before we round up today's class. I'll share the link to Telegram. All right, so this is what we tried to do the last time. And if I go to my Power Query, you see that we have plenty steps. You are going to need to watch the videos to really understand everything we did. But in summary, we're able to bring in the data, of course, and we're also able to group the data. So if you check my steps, you are going to see a step where we grouped, right? So the grouping step is where we implemented, summarized the data. Okay, and if I check what did we do on the grouping, we basically grouped the data based on the account number, the customer type, and so on and so forth. And then we created 2 new columns to give us the total of bonus used and the total of data subscribed. You know, when you summarize the data, you are summarizing by totaling something, right? In this case. So for a customer that has 2 transactions in a month, you need to give me the total of the bonus used for that month and the total of the data subscribed for that month. That's what happens when you summarize. Okay, so if you watch this video, is on YouTube. You can easily go through it maybe after today's class if you haven't watched it or if you were absent from the last class. So that's what happened when we grouped the data. Then at some point, you are going to see that we also started counting. So we had to count after grouping, count how many times did you subscribe, right? You subscribed 4 times. How many times did you use bonuses, right? So you also use bonus 4 times as well. So we counted like that for every customer. Then eventually, we now started creating rules somewhere, created some rules where we could, not this one, I think is the second one. Okay, so we created a couple of rules really to give us the scoring now, right? Because the scoring is also based on certain rules. So someone that subscribed 4 times, for example, if you check our rule on the case study, it says if you purchase data 4 times, which is subscribe. If you subscribe 4 times, you should get how many points? You should get 10 points, right? So we created those rules as well in Power Query to give us the number of points for everybody according to how they subscribe and how they use their bonuses. Then eventually we grouped every customer again now so that we could get the total score for every customer. So some of the score of your loyalty bonus and some of the score of your what's the other one now? Of your bonus usage usage points rather, right? So we scored all of that and eventually we were able to create the final conditional column where we could now determine where you fall based on your total score points. Okay, so that was where we stopped, and this is where we are going to continue with today's session using DAX. So the idea for today is, first of all, I'm going to leave this table as it is like this because we are going to try to run the DAX calculations on this table so that we can compare side by side. Just know that the first three columns here, or let's just say the last two columns here are the Power Query solutions, right? So we are going to try to create a DAX solution by the side so that we can compare side by side. So that's just for comparison's sake. Otherwise, you would use just one of the methods, not both of them anyway. Okay. So what I'm going to do is first, I'm going to have to go to bring the main data, right? The main data itself. So that's me, get data, Excel workbook, and the telecoms data set. Now, if you know me very well, you know that I always tell you to do what? When you are bringing in data, I always say, don't load, always transform, okay? But here, I'm going to break the rule. I'm going to assume that everything is fine. And I'm also going to pray that everything is fine. And I'm going to load just to save our time. So load. All right. So Samuel, do you still have a question? Please, anytime you have a question, you can just show a raise of hands, or you can just quickly unmute yourself and let us know, and I can answer the question. Right. So Chukudi, do you have a question?
Yes, Ahmed, let me just ask if a sharp one. Please,
Yeah.
for a customer that subscribes more than twice or 3 times in a month, when you're summarizing, does it group those subscriptions? Maybe I did 5 gig, 5 gig, 5 gig in a month. Does it, when you're summarizing now, are you summarizing all of them? That's a total of 15 gig. Is it now one?
Correct. Correct. So it's going to show you 15 gig for that month when summarized.
That means it's now 1 in a month. That is the total 15 gig is now concluded to be one subscription.
Yes.
Okay.
Because really, our account is not really based on how much you subscribe, because we are talking about loyalty now. So we are saying that if you are loyal to us, you buy from us every month. All right. Do you get? We are not thinking about whether you buy 5 times this month. We are just saying you buy from us every month. And if you remember data, you know that data usually expires. It expires. If you buy in the month, it doesn't matter whether you finish it or not. In 30 days, that one expires. Know that. So we'll say, come back again. If you are loyal to us, come back again and buy again the next month, right? So if you buy 5 gig now, consume the entire 5 gig, you buy more this month. That means you are a loyal customer, right? And then next month again, that one expires, you buy another data, maybe the next month now, because you probably have 3 gig left from the other side that has expired. They are going to tell you that if you subscribe quickly before it expires, then they will roll over the 3 gig for you. So when you now subscribe 2 gigabytes next, that 2 gigabytes is going to be added to the 3 gigabytes. You now have 5 gigabytes to use for the new month. Clear?
Thank you, Ahmed.
All right, you're welcome. So now I've brought in the main transaction table where everything is. And our approach is going to be largely the same thing, which is we're going to get the data, which we have done already. Then the next thing is we are going to summarize the data, and then we are going to start counting. Okay. Now, everything we are going to do is going to be very similar to what we did in Power Query, but maybe a little bit different, but the original ideas is going to be exactly the same thing. Okay. So now, if I go to my model in Power BI, the first thing is this, because we are talking about customers. Okay. The main table I just brought in now, this customer transaction, that's where I have all the transactions per month, which means this is like a fact table. It is a fact table because it is transactionary, all transactions per month. Now, if I want to profile my customers, technically categorizing my customers, and customers by itself is what now? Is a dimension entity, is a dimension table, okay? But the good thing now is because I already have a table for customers for us coming from the last class. Okay, so you can just assume that you are not seeing these two things. Just assume, ignore that you're not seeing these two, and you are only looking at the account numbers for every customer. So what we want to do now is for every customer like this, is already a dimension table. If I check my model view, I see it's already connected to my customers transaction table, right? Already connected. So the next thing now is to start creating columns that I can use to create my customer's profile. I'm going to try as much as possible to break it down as much as possible, and I'm going to need like 200% of your attention. Remember, this is that things can start getting scary, and things can also start getting complicated very fast. Okay, so let's follow this. So the first thing I'm going to do, obviously, I want to profile every single customer. So first, I need a new column. So let's go to new column. Now on this new column now, let me not give it a name yet, okay? But the first thing I want to do is this. Remember, okay, before I even show you that, look at this, my customers table now, right in customers table. Do you see how many rows we have there? We have 9,000 rows. You see that, right? On my customers table, which is a dimension table. But on the customer transaction table, we have 60,000 rows. You know, this one is transaction, isn't it? 60,000 rows. It is transactional table. That's expected. But the unique number of customers we have really is the 9,000 customers that you see on the customers table. Okay. Now, if I want to profile each of these customers based on their transactions, it means that for every customer like this guy now, for example, how many transactions do you think this person is going to have on the transactions table? How many are we expecting max? That's the question.
I guess 6. It should be 6.
Yes, correct. Yeah, so correct. So technically, we are expecting a maximum of 6 transactions per each customer like that. Okay. So the first thing we are going to do is this. If you go to our plan, we want to get the data correct. We already have the data. Now, for this, my profiling as well, I'm going to try to get the data for each customer. Okay, because I want to create a new column that I'm going to, write some formulas to count a couple of things. So the first thing I want to do is I'll create that new column like this. And then I'm going to say the first thing I want to do on this new column is for every customer like this, I want to get their information. You know, the information for this customer is on this customer transactions table, isn't it? Which is a different table, right? I'm currently sitting on the customer's dimension table, but the customer transactions is inside the customer transactions table. Okay, so somehow I want to retrieve all of these customers' transactions from that other table. So I'm going to write my first line of DAX. So we're going to use variables here to make everything easy. So I will just define a variable, and the name of the variable, let me just call it the transactions is equal to something, something, something. Now, the idea is this. Remember that I'm currently on the customer's dimension table now. And I'm saying that, for every customer like this, somehow I need to retrieve all their transactions. Who is with me? Up to this level, you know what I want to do now.
Sorry, your voice is breaking. It's not that clear.
All right. Is that confirmed for everyone?
No, you're clear from here.
You're clear now.
All right, good. So my question is this. Do you understand what I'm about to do now? Like, just understand it. The code will come later. The first thing is understand the objective. So my objective is for every customer like this, I need to have access to all their transactions, which unfortunately is on the different table. Do you get that objective that I'm trying to do now. Do you understand it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So the point now is this: when it comes to DAX, basically, when it comes to DAX, I'll just quickly digress a little bit, right? Just to help everyone here. When it comes to DAX, many times you are going to be using functions in DAX. You make use of functions, okay? Now, these functions have different functions. Yes, the functions have different functions. That's the best way to say it. What it means is every function carries out different tasks. Okay, and DAX does have a lot of functions, quite a lot. I think up to between 400 and 600 functions in DAX, but you only need to know 20% of that 400 to 600. Okay, so the first thing is this: every function in DAX does one thing or the other, but then the one thing or the other can either be that it gives you a table or it gives you a single value. Every function gives you a table or it gives you one single value. Now, tell me, if I want to retrieve all the transactions for this customer, for example, do I need a function that returns a single value, or do I need a function that returns a table?
Table.
Correct. So I need a function that returns a table. That's what I need. The function needs to return a table because guess what? It can't be a single value because this customer has like 6 transactions on the other side, at least 6 transactions on the other side. And when we looked at our Excel, we actually saw that some customers even have 18 transactions, right? They have 18 transactions because for some of their transactions, for some months, they carried out more than one single transaction, okay? So now on this line, I want to retrieve all the transactions for this customer somehow. I know it's supposed to give me a table, so I'm going to need a table function in DAX. Now, this table function I need in DAX should be able to look at this row now, for example, where I have, let's just call this 1006. Look at this 1006 here, and then go and check the transactions table and give me all the transactions for that 1006. Remember, these two tables are what? They are connected together. I showed you that in the model. So the function that can do that for us, this function, what it does is it's going to look at the singular thing that you have here, and it's going to try to fetch a table that contains all the values for that singular thing on the other side. So I'm going to look at this one, for example, and I'm going to see all the transactions for that one. I'm going to look at this person, see all the transactions for that person, and so on and so forth. So this is going to happen for everybody. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a function called related table. Are we together up to this point?
Yes.
Okay, now if you read the description, related table says returns the related tables filtered so that it only includes the related rows, which is exactly what I want to do. I just want to get all the transactions for this person. So I'm using related table as my function. And the table in question is the customer transactions table. That's that. Okay, of course, you know I can't press enter now, right? Do you know that? Or should I explain why I can't press enter? What do you think? Explain why I can't press enter or move on. Or you want to help me?
We need other criteria.
Okay, now I'm going to tell you reasons why I can't press enter now. Let me just quickly tell you why I can't press enter now. Let me tell you why I can't press enter now. Okay, now this is it. I said every function returns what? Table or a single value. In this case now, I wrote a formula. I've defined a variable now that is technically getting the number, getting the transactions for each of these guys, right? So for 1006 now, it's going to give me like 6 things, or as we saw on the Excel the other time, can give me like 18 things. Now the question is, can I fit 18 things, 18 transactions with multiple columns inside this single place like this? Is it possible?
No.
Is it possible? You know it's not possible, right? You know it's not possible. So that's why I can't press enter. That's one reason why I can't press enter. The other reason why I can't press enter is when you are using DAX, every time you start defining variables in your DAX, when you start your DAX by using VAR. So before you write your formula, you type VAR first, and you specify VAR, and then you provide the name of the variable, right? You provide the name of the variable, name, and then you now put equals to write your formula like that. Okay, you can't really press enter because it's going to give you an error. If I check this now, it's going to give me an error because my formula is not yet complete. Every time you use a variable, you must always provide an output, and the output is provided by using the other name called return, right? So I can now say return, for example, the transactions. See, the variable I defined was called the transactions. Before I can press enter, I need to say, okay, so after I define this variable, return the transactions. And unfortunately, it cannot return the transactions because why? It is giving me error because it says multiple columns cannot be converted to a scalar value. What scalar value basically means is a single value, right? That's scalar. Because every item like this should have just one thing, just one thing, just one thing. But now I'm trying to retrieve all the transactions of this 1006. If I go to my customer transactions table, you see that every customer, if I filter to 1006, for example, say number equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You see that this guy has how many transactions? First of all, I'm retrieving the entire transaction, which means I'm retrieving 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 columns and 6 rows. There is no way 8 columns and 6 rows is going to fit inside this tiny place. So it's not possible. Okay. The only thing I can do is, for example, now I'm going to say, okay. I can't put 8 columns there, but please, can you count the number of rows that he has? No? You know, if I count the number of rows now for that guy, right? If I go to these customer transactions, this is the person. This is 1006 person. Has 8 columns and it has 6 rows, right? You know, if I count the numbers there, you know, it's going to give me 6. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that will give me 6. And 6 is just a single value. Okay, so I think the highest thing I can do here is to do something like instead of just returning the transactions. No, don't return the transactions. I want you to count it. Count the number of rows on that transactions. So I'm not going to say return the transactions. I'm going to say count rows. And the table I'm trying to count is the transactions table. So if I check this now, then I can see the number of transactions per each person. Okay, and guess what? If I try to filter on this column, you see, just like we saw on Excel, some people have what? Some people have 18, some people have 12, and the maximum thing we expect is how many?
6.
What's the maximum we expect? Maximum we
6.
expect is 6. And that's why we said to solve this problem, after we get the data, we are going to do what to it?
Summarize.
We are going to summarize it. Thank you. We are going to summarize it. So as it is now, we can't just start counting the transactions. We need to summarize the transactions first. Okay, so I'm going to create another variable here. I'm going to say this one, I am summarizing the transaction. So I'll just give it a name that may not make sense. Summarize transactions. I want to summarize the transactions. And that's equal to. Now, I want to summarize the transactions. For every single customer, I'm trying to summarize the transactions for every single customer. Am I going to use a table function, or am I going to use a scalar function? Remember that what my summary is about right now is per month, right? So for some people that have 18, for example, when I finish summarizing, they are going to have only 6 maximum, because in those months where they have done double transactions, we can easily summarize their double transactions into a single one for that month. Okay, so do I need a table function or do I need a scalar function now? What's your thoughts? Think about what happens for this customer. When I summarize this customer, 1006 customer, when I summarize, will I have one single value or will I have multiple rows?
I think it's going to be a single row, scalar value, I think. I'm not sure, but yeah, just right.
Okay, so let me say it again. When I summarize, you know that right now some people have 18 times, okay? But I want to summarize it in such a way that instead of repeating for every month, just give me a total value for single month. So it's a month that has 3 transactions now. Sum all the 3 transactions in that month into one single transaction. But guess what? I still have 6 months of data. So for every customer, I'm going to have a summary for each month, right? Which means,
okay.
You get it, right? So which means for every customer, I'm still going to have like up to more than one single row. So I still need a table function. You get
table function. Right.
Okay. Now, the table function that does summaries that you can use to summarize things. Can you guess what the name is going to be called? The name is going to be called summarize.
Summarize.
Okay. So I'm using summarize right now. Summarize. First argument is, which table am I trying to summarize? I'm trying to summarize this, my transaction, this one. Remember that this one gave me a full table already. So I want to summarize it. So I'll say summarize the transactions table. Okay. Then I put a comma. So let me move to the next row to make it have sense. So I'm summarizing the table. Now, the next thing is group by which column. What am I summarizing by? First, I want to summarize every customer, right? So I want to summarize the customer, which is identified by the account number, okay, comma. And I want to summarize each customer account number like that for every month. Now, that month is identified by this YM column. Are we following? So I'm summarizing it in such a way that for every customer like that, give me the customer and give me each month one by one. So for customer A, for example, that has 3 transactions in a single month, just give me the customer once and give me that singular month once. That's what I've just done now. Okay. So comma. I'll move to the next row. The next thing now is this. Now, I've gotten every customer's account number and each month. So every customer now technically is now appearing maximum 6 times. 1 customer per month, 1 customer per month, 1 customer per month, like that. Now, my summary now, I want to sum up the bonus used. Like I want to sum up this bonus used, and I also want to sum up this data subscribed. Those are my 2 things that I want to use to summarize. So I'm going to, in my summary table now, I will say maybe bonus usage the name of the new summarized column, comma, and what I want to do is just help me to sum the bonus used column. Okay, comma. I'll go to the next line. I also want to sum the data subscribed. Okay, so I'm also going to give that one a name. So let's say I call that one subscriptions. And that's also the sum of the subscription data subscribed. Okay, so now that's my summarized table. If you think about it, if I try to recap now one by one, this is what I've done. On this line, I brought in the transactions for each customer. Okay, now on this line, this full line like this, up to this point, I summarize the transactions I brought in from line 2. You know, it's on line 2 that I did what? That I brought in the transactions for each customer. Then now I'm now summarizing the transactions I brought in from that line 2 for every customer per month. That's the two things I've done so far. Okay, now that I've summarized the transaction now, guess what? If I change these count rows, you know, this current count rows, I'm counting the full transactions. Now I'm going to change it to say, don't count the full transactions, just count the summarized transactions. Okay, count the summarized transactions. So when I check now, you see that the highest thing I have there is 6. Are we still together?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the highest thing I have there now is 6 transactions, like 6 rows for every customer. So the next thing I'm going to try to do is, let me go back to the beginning. So what I want to do now is I want to get the customers' subscriptions and their bonuses. I want to get the customer subscription and bonus so that I can count them, right? Get the customer subscription and their bonuses so I can count them. So I'll create the next variable, which I'm going to try to call, let's call these subscriptions, and it's going to be equal to, you will see why I'm doing this when I do the count, okay? So subscription is going to be this. I want to check now, this is my summarized table, isn't it? This is my summarized table. I want to filter now for every customer, just filter where they subscribed, isn't it? What would that mean? If I want to filter where the customer subscribed, what does it mean? What do you think that means? You know that, for example, now, if I want to count, how many times did you subscribe? What would you do on Excel? Let's pick one customer. Let's pick customer 1002. I say, tell me, how many times did customer 1002 subscribe? What would you do?
Distinct count.
Yes, I guess we will count the number, exactly the number of occurrences of that account.
Yeah, so first you will try to filter customer 1002, right? So 1 second, let me try and close some things first. My PC is complaining. That's closed. It's closed. It's closed. Save. What else? Okay, I think I can manage with this. I can manage with this now. All right, this one is opened. So close. Okay. So now I say, can you count how many times did that customer 1001 subscribe? What you're going to do is you are going to come to filter customer 1001 like this. When you filter customer 1001, you're now going to count how many times did the person subscribe, which is more or less like how many times did the person have more than 0 gigabytes? Is that not correct? Is that logic correct? So for example, now, assuming that here is 0, for example, and I ask you, count how many times did the customer subscribe? All you do is what? Filter this table like this, right? And then remove the zeros there, isn't it? Remove the zeros from there, because the 0 is not going to count for you. You only need the main counts themselves like this. So you now say, okay, the customer subscribed 5 times. Is that correct? Is that logic correct? Correct, right? Okay. So now, that's exactly what we are going to try to do now. Okay? So for the subscriptions now, first, I want to, we've already summarized the data here in step 3. We summarized it. Now, I want to see how many times did the customer subscribe. But before I count the number of times the customer subscribed, first, let me filter this place first in such a way that the subscription is more than 0, just like we saw on Excel now. Okay, now the function in DAX that does filtering is what? Is filter. That's the function. So filter has 2 arguments here. The first one is the table I'm trying to filter, and the second one is the expression for the filtering. So the table I'm trying to filter now is that my summarized transactions, which is, I want to filter this table I created here. Okay, summarize transactions. I'm trying to filter this table, comma, and the filtering I want is in such a way that this subscription right here, this subscription that I'm trying to sum up here, it has to be more than 0, right? The subscription has to be more than 0. So I'm going to say filter my summarized transactions in such a way that my subscriptions is greater than 0, like this. So for example, now, if I now change this, my counting, to count the number of subscriptions. So if I change this to count my subscriptions, and enter, you're going to see that some people are blank. You know why they are blank? Do you know why they are blank? Any idea? Any idea why these people are blank? I can't really hear that. Can you chat? Can you send to chat? What do you think? Why do you think some people are blank? What do you think? Why is it returning blank? I'm trying to count my subscriptions. Yeah, so the blank guys are the people who did not subscribe at all. I'm saying that this is my summarized transaction now. I'm now saying, can you filter that summarized transaction so that I can see where the subscriptions are greater than 0. Now, for some people, they basically did not subscribe at all. So they are going to have blank values, because when I count how many times did they subscribe, it's empty. They didn't subscribe at all. That's why it is empty for them. Okay. So now, before I do this, first, I have seen my subscriptions. How many times did you subscribe? Let me clear this filter here. So clear this filter. Then I'm going to do the other one, which is bonus usage. Like how many times did you use bonus? So VAR again, I'm going to call this one something like, let's say bonuses is equal to the same thing. Filter my summarized transactions such a way that the bonus usage, this bonus usage right here, the bonus usage is greater than 0. Okay. So we are moving forward. So now, documenting again. Line 2, get the transaction for every customer. Line 3, summarize all the transactions. Okay. Line 8, in line 8, not count now. Filter the transactions in line 3 to show only subscriptions. In line 9 is filter the transactions in line 3 to show only the bonuses used. Now, in my line 10, I now want to count the number of subscriptions, and in my line 11, I'm going to count the number of bonuses used. Okay, so my line 10, I'm going to do something like count subscriptions, count the subscriptions, and that's going to be equals to count rows, count the number of rows on my subscriptions. And my line 11 is going to be count the bonuses used. So I'll call that count bonus, let's say bonuses used, which is also a count rows of my bonuses. Okay. So documenting line 10, I did what? I am counting the bonuses in line 9. And then on line 11, I am counting, sorry, this is the subscriptions. Subscriptions in line 9, right? Is that correct? Or line 8 rather, I think that's line 8. So I'm counting the subscriptions in line 8. And then on this my line 11, I'm counting the bonuses in line 9. So that's where we are right now. So just to make things easy for us, to make it easy for us to see, this is what I'm going to do now. Let me just make this column now. I'm going to call this column number of subscriptions. Yeah, so this column now is number of subscriptions. So for every customer now, I see how many times the customer has subscribed. Okay, now I'm going to create a new column that I'm going to call number of bonuses used or something like that, right? So if I copy this entire thing and I create a new column, paste that. Now, instead of returning the count of subscriptions here, I'm going to return the count of bonuses used, right? I want to return the count of bonuses used for this one, okay? Not number of subscriptions, this is number of bonuses now. Number of bonuses used. So you can see now, right? So number of subscriptions, this customer subscribed 6 times, but the guy used bonuses only 5 times. Okay, so just makes things a little bit clearer for us so that I don't put everything in one single table, but it's possible to have everything in a single column like that to finish the entire solution in one single column. So now I have these two things. Okay, but before I proceed, right? What I'm going to do is that take a look at my number of subscriptions. You see that we have some blanks there. Look at these guys that are blanks. I want to make the blanks zeros. Can somebody suggest one way I can use to make those blanks zeros? I want the blanks to be zeros. What do you think I need to do?
We use the if function.
If function. If function, correct. So I'm supposed to say something like, if this thing is blank, then 0, isn't it? If not, just give me the value. So if it is 6, it's going to give me 6. But if it is blank, it's going to give me 0. Okay? But what I'm going to do instead of if is, I'm counting the subscriptions, isn't it? And some is giving me blank. So what I'm just going to do is, I will say, I've already done count rows of the subscriptions like this. I will just come here and say plus 0. Do you understand? Do you understand that? So they are now zeros now.
Wow, this is good.
Okay. So just count the subscriptions and plus 0. So when it is blank, it is 0. If it is 1, 1 plus 0 is still 1. 6 plus 0 is still 6. So I'm going to do the same thing on the other side as well. So on this other side, the second one, bonuses used. So count of bonus used, I will say plus 0. Or before I say plus 0 for this one, let's look at what the rules say. The rules say that number 1, if you purchase bonus 6 times, get 20 points. If you purchase bonus 5 times, get 15 points, isn't it? So that means if I come to here now, let me clear this filter, clear filter. This person is going to get 20 points for purchasing 6 times. The next person gets 20 points and so on and so forth. But check out the second rule for bonus usage. This one says, you did not use bonus in all of your 6 months. You did not use bonus. The rule does not say you used bonus. It says you did not use bonus, isn't it? So now, if you look at what we have now, we have number of bonuses used. Now, this person's number of bonus used is what? Is 5. Person used bonuses 5 times. But what we really want is the number of times the person did not use bonus, isn't it? So what am I supposed to have here for the first guy? Instead of 5, what am I supposed to have?
1.
1. For the next guy, it's supposed to be what?
2.
2, right? That means I need to say, instead of counting the number of bonuses used, I will rather do 6 minus the number of bonuses used, right? So that's 6 minus 5, because you use bonus 5 times. So you did not use bonus. Out of the 6 times, you didn't use bonus once, okay? Out of the 4 times, you use bonus, out of 6 times, you use bonus 4 times. Out of 6 times, it means you did not use bonus twice, which is 6 minus the 4, okay? So for this return now, I'm saying 6 minus count of bonus used. That's what I want to use. So that I can now have 1, the person did not use bonus. I'll change this one to number of bonuses not used, right? So I'll change this to number of bonuses not used, okay? So now I can see who is 1, who is 2, and so on and so forth. So right now, I have everything I need to do my scoring, except, for example, if I do a drop down here, okay, it's already showing 0 for some people, and I don't have blanks. Good. So this is good. 6 minus the number of times you did not you use bonus gives the number of times you did not use bonus. Now, based on these 2 things, I can easily now start scoring. I can start scoring now. So I'll create a new column, which I'm going to call, I'll call this column, let's call it loyalty scores, okay? And I'm going to use a function called switch. Switch is a function that collects an argument that is going to be checking against. So check against this thing, check against this thing. If you see the value, return this result, right? So if you see this value, return this result. If you don't see the value, return another result. That's how switch works. So switch now, for loyalty scores, now I'm going to say switch my subscription, this subscription here. Let me clean this so that you see it properly. Switch the number of subscriptions. That's what I want to check against. So if I do switch, I'm going to say check against number of subscriptions. That's customer number of subscriptions. That's my expression, right? That's my expression for switch, comma. Now, switch will now start asking me for value and result. It's like, when I check this thing, what do you want me to check there? I'm going to say check if it is 6. That's the value, comma. Okay, so if I check if it is 6, what should I do? I say, give the person 20, comma again. Sorry, that's a comma. You see, it's asking me for value 2. What's the next value? I say, okay, if it is 5, that's value 2, comma. If it is 5, what should be the result? I say the result should be 15. Based on what? Based on the rules. If you have 20, you purchase 20 times. I mean, you purchase 6 times, get 20 points. If you purchase 5 times, get 15. If you purchase 4, get 10. So this is 15. I'll go again. I say, okay, if it is 4, however, please give the person 10. Okay, I move on. Now, the next two. The next one says, if it is less than 4, then give the person 5. Unfortunately, I can't really specify in this my switch like this. I can't say less than 4 here. You see, it's underlining the less than. Can you see that? You see, it's underlining my less than. It can't allow me to write this formula this way for certain reasons. For certain reasons, I'm not going to try to explain in this video right now. Okay? If we have time after this, I can explain why I can't use this less than 4. So what I'm going to do instead is I will go and use the last guy, which is you did not purchase data at all. You know that one is 1. That means you didn't purchase at all. That means it is what? It is 0. If it is 0, you didn't purchase at all. Then 1 point. Okay? Every other thing is 5 points. If I run through this again, if you purchase data 6 times, get 20 points. If you purchase 5 times, get 15. 4 times, get 10 points. If you did not purchase at all, 0, get 1. What's left? Which number is left now? Have I left out from this? Which numbers have I left out? I've left out number 1, I've left out number 2, I've left out number 3. Number 1, 2, and 3, those are the numbers that fall into the category of less than 4, right? So when you use switch, switch carries values in pairs. So the first pair, if it is 6, it will give it 20. If it is 5, it will give it 15. If it is 4, it will give 10. If it is 0, it will give 5. Now you think if it is 5, no, that's not what's happening. The fact that this 5 doesn't have a pair means it's just going to return 5 if it is not any of these guys. That's what it means. Leaving this 5 alone means if it is not any of these guys, return 5. Otherwise, this is what 5 does by itself now. 5 returns 15, right? This 5 already has a pair here. And if you give one last argument that doesn't have a pair, in switch, it means that that's the last thing you want. That's the last answer you want when all the other conditions have not been met, right? And this is what's going to serve us. I'm just going to close my brackets here and check. So I have my loyalty scores. Everybody that has 6 will score 20 points, right? You can easily verify that. So click on this drop down and select only 6. I expect that if I check the loyalty scores here, I should only see 20. Correct. Check the next number. Check for 5. I expect to see only 15 here. Correct. Check for 4. I expect to see only what? Only 10. Correct. Let's check for 3. 3 should be what? What number should appear for 3? Based on the rules.
5.
5. So if I check 3, I expect to see only 5. If I check 2, 2 should also be 5. So 2 should also be 5. 1 should also be 5. And 0 should be what?
1.
0 should be 1. Thank you. So 0 should be 1. Okay, so my scoring is correct. My scoring is on point. So let me clear this filter, clear filters. So my loyalty scores I have already. Now let's go and calculate our bonus usage scores. In fact, I can just look at this loyalty score the way it is. It's basically the same thing with the bonuses. The person that scores 20 points for bonus usage is the person that did not use bonus at all. That means this number of bonuses not used now for that person is going to show 6. That's the person that scores 20 points. The reverse is just the case between bonus usage and loyalty scores. So I can easily just copy this formula like this, Ctrl C, create a new column, which I'm going to call, this column is going to be called, not loyalty scores now, this one is going to be bonus usage scores. Bonus usage scores. Yeah, bonus usage scores. And instead of looking at number of subscriptions now, he has to look at number of bonuses not used, isn't it? So I'll just change this one to number of bonuses not used. And check that. Yeah. Yeah, correct. So somebody that used bonus only once did not use, that means the person, number of bonuses not used. Yeah, somebody that did not use bonus once. Wait, I'm confused now. Yeah, correct. So you did not use bonus once. It means you use your bonus how many times? You use your bonus how many times?
5
5 times out of 6. And guess what? Based on the rule says you did not use bonus at all, get 20 points. So if I come to this, my not use bonus now, and I check, somebody that did not use bonus at all for the 6 months, the person should get 20 points. You see, it's correct. The next rule says you did not use bonus 5 out of 6 times, get a 15 points. So if I check this for the 5s, then that should give me 15 points. Okay, so just to save time, I think everything here is also correct. So now I have my loyalty scores and I have my bonus usage scores as I want. So the next thing now is to give me a total score, right? So I can create a new column, which I'm going to call total scores. So total scores, and it's going to be equals to my loyalty score plus my bonus usage scores. Okay. Technically, this is my total scores. However, our requirements for the profiling at the end of the day is supposed to, compare the scores based on percentages. And this is why we say that, now, how do I convert these total scores into percentages, right? So simply, what you do is this, you want to find out what's the maximum score someone can have. What's the maximum score someone can have? Max.
I think 40.
40 is the maximum. So if you get 35, if I want to convert this 35 to percentage, it's a matter of dividing these total scores by 40 for everyone. I will get their percentages, isn't it?
Yes.
Since 40 is the maximum. So what I'll just do is for total scores, instead of just plus plus, I don't want to create an extra column. So instead of plus plus, I'm going to say this my total score like this plus this now, divided by 40. Divide this by 40. And that gives me the numbers in percentages. Now it shows 111 because it's currently whole number and 0 decimal place. So if I change this to decimal number and 3 decimal places, 1, 2, 3. Now check this. This is the total score from Power Query. This is the total score from DAX. Okay. Now I want to confirm. If I come here and I filter all the 0.625, let me start from 0.25. The 0.25s here must also be 0.25 here. You see?
Yeah.
Correct? Check the next one. The 0.375 here must also be 0.375 here. Correct. So we just want to validate everything. The 0.5 here should be 0.5 here. Correct. Next one, the 0.525 here should be 0.525 here. Correct. Next one is 0.625 and correct. Then next one, 0.75, and that's also 0.75, correct. Then the next one is 875, and I also have 875 here, and the last one is 100%. The ones, those are the 100% guys, just 2 of them, and you have that. Okay, now based on this, now I already have my total score in percentages. I can now try to create my customer class, this customer class with it, based on the rules we have in the case study, which is anyone above 85% should be tier 1 priority service, anyone here should be tier 2, and so on and so forth. So to quickly create that, I'm going to click on new column again, and I'll just call this one customer class B. Customer class B, because we already have one here. I have the first one here. I'm creating a new one. I can't use the same name for both of them. Okay. Now, it's also about rules as well. I'm also going to be checking the total scores column, right? But in this case now, let me escape first before I explain that. You know, we've used switch how many times? Twice. And look at the way we use the switch. You see that we are basically not putting anything less than or greater than. We didn't use anything less than or greater than. Everything is basically direct number, direct number, direct number. So the way I've used switch here, I'm trying to say that check the number of, check the bonus use column, check that column. If it is 6, give me 20. If it is 5, give me 15. If it is 4, give me 10, and so on and so forth. It's possible for you to do this. And when you do it like this, you won't be able to do, when you specify the name of the column exactly as your first argument in switch, then you will not be able to use less than or greater than. You just have to put in the values. So I'm saying switch this column, switch this column. If it is 6, give me this. If it is 5, give me that. If it is 4, give me that. Okay. Now, if I want to write a switch now, whereby I have to use less than or equal to, I will not be able to say, if I go to new column now, and I create that my customer class B, okay, I'm going to give it the name after. If I write my switch, and that's going to be based on this total scores column. So if I come here and I say my expression is total scores, right? I say my expression is total. Why do I have 2? Okay, one is total score, the other one is total scores. This total scores is what I'm working with now. If I say my expression is total scores like this, and I now want to follow my rule says above 85%, that means I want to say greater than 85 or greater than 0.85. You see that he's not accepting it. That's why you see that red underline there. Because if I specify a column name explicitly like this. I can't say that check total scores column, and if the value there is greater than this, you can't really specify it like that. You can't specify it like that, right? If you use a column name in your first argument of switch, what you want to start using is equals to. Like, for example, now I can use ordinary 0.85 like this. You see, it will not underline it. I'll now put comma and say if it is 0.85, if you check that column and you see 0.85 there, then give me something. Okay, but if I say if you check that column and you see this there, 0.85, I'm trying to say if you see this in that column, guess what? This is not in that column. There's nothing like this in that column, right? So anytime you want to use greater than or equals to with the switch function, then your first argument is not going to be the name of the column itself, right? You are just going to say switch, my switch now, the first argument, you just type true there, true, just type true. Check if the following things are true, right? Check if the next thing I'm going to start putting, if they are true, right? So value 1 now, I'm going to say that if the total scores is greater than 0.85, that's my value 1. That's my value 1, okay, comma. And the result for that is this. So if it is above 85%, I say call it tier 1 priority service. So my results 1 is going to be tier 1 priority service like this. Okay, then comma. I'll move on to the next one, which is check again. If the customer total scores, where are you? If the customer total scores is what now? What's the next rule? The next rule is between 75 and 85%. That means it is greater than or equals to 0.75. And that same column, that same total scores column is less than or equal to 0.85. That's the between, okay? If that is the case, then that one should be what? That one should be tier 2. So I'll change this to tier 2. Okay, so that's tier 2.
Sorry,
Go to the
Mr.
next line. Yes, please.
Okay, I was thinking that the switch function should be able to check the total score. So if you are having 0.85 as the first one, by the time you're having 0.75, there's no essence of putting less than 0.5. So you should move from, it should be 0. Once it's checking for the tier 2.
Yeah.
You know, I don't even get what I'm trying to say.
I understand. Correct. I understand you. You are absolutely correct. So now, based on the rules now, technically, if I do this now, you know, the first one is greater than 0.85. So the second one, that means the first one is already taken care of. Anything more than 0.85 is already taken care of, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which means we can actually say, okay, that one is gone, 0.85 is gone. So we can say if it is greater than 0.75, then that one is a tier 2 service. Okay, that's correct. No? This is tier 2. Then, you know, those 2 sites are gone now. So I can go to the next one now. Go to the next one. Copy this. Then go to the next one and say, what's the next one? The next one is if it is above 60% and less than 75%, more or less like if this is greater than 0.60 or 0.60, like this, since these ones have already been taken care of, right? So we get than 0.60, this is tier 2,
Tier 2.
and that
Tier
one is tier 3 priority service. This is tier 3 priority service. And then the last one, basically, the last one. I don't need to specify that one. You already know how switch works. If you put two things, it will, it will substitute for one another. When it sees anything greater than 0.5, it will call it this. When it sees anything greater than 0.75, it will call it this. Now, the last one, if I don't put anything on the last one, and I just put this guy, tier 4 priority service plus incentives. Okay, tier 3 is also plus incentives. And I put that like this, those brackets. So tier 3 is this. Tier 3 priority service plus incentives. The other one is marketing, something. I make that like this and check. So we can do our comparison again. We can do that same comparison again, which is everything that is tier 1 here from our Power Query solution should also show tier 1 here. Correct? Yeah. Let's go check. Everything that is tier 2 from Power Query solution should show tier 2 high. Now we have a problem. Now have that problem. All right. Okay, so let's check our rule. We probably excluded some things. So check the rules again. Now, no, let's see. This is greater than 0.75, correct? The second rule says what? Between 75%. That means 75% is included. Correct?
Okay.
So this has to be greater than or equal to 75. Yeah. See? So my tier 2 here now is now also tier 2 here. Correct.
Yeah.
Right? Then let's check. Tier 3 here is also tier 3 here. Correct. And finally, tier 4 here is tier 4 here. Correct. Now, technically, this ends everything. But before I end it, I know it's already too much, but you have the opportunity to watch the videos again. You also have the opportunity to also try to practice it. So what I'm going to do is I will try to fit everything to this place, which means I don't necessarily need all these extra columns I create. I want to try to fit everything inside here. Okay, so let's see how I will try to do that. Let me reduce my size. So I've stopped at counting the bonuses used, right? I've counted the number of subscriptions, I've counted the number of bonuses, which gave me this column and this column. The next thing was now to do the loyalty scores, right? Which is based on when I count the number of data bonuses bought, and it is 6 or it is 5 or it is 4, do all those things, right? So if I come here now, I'm going to create, let me copy this first, my loyalty scores, that's the next thing. So I'll copy my loyalty scores like this, copy it, come here to my subscriptions, go to the next line, VAR, I'll create something called loyalty scores equal to that thing I did. Yeah, equals to count, blah, 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 blah. Which equals to switch, right? Switch, da, 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 da. The only thing now is I'm not switching customer subscription, number of subscriptions. What I'm switching is this is my count of subscriptions. That's what I'm switching. So I'll just change this one here. to count of subscriptions. Count subscriptions. Okay, that's that. Then I'll create next line VAR where I am counting count bonus not used. Sorry, not that. I want to do bonus usage scores. Bonus usage scores. That's the next thing. And is equal to this same kind of thing now. This same kind. Before I do it, in order not to get confused, let me just put 0 here for now. What we did was, for our bonus not used, you know, we did what? We did 6 minus. We had to put 6 minus something to create bonus not used. Currently now, my number of subscriptions, this is it on line 10. Remember that this is my number of subscriptions. Some people were blank, isn't it? Can you remember? What did you do to those guys that were blank?
+0.
Did +0. So I'll remember here to put +0. Okay. Now here as well, remember to put +0 here. Okay. Then I can now go here and say VAR count bonus not used. You know, this is bonus used on line 11. So bonus not used is 6 minus count of bonus used. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if I want to do my bonus usage scores, I'm going to apply the same rule I use here. That same rule I use here is what I'm going to use here. So from this switch, copy it like this and use it here, except I am not counting the subscriptions. I'm counting the bonus
not used.
Okay. So count the bonuses not used. Then what was the next thing we did? Let's check. So what was the next thing we did? So first, we have our number of subscriptions, it's already one of the variables. We have our number of bonuses not used, is already one of the variables. We have our loyalty scores, is already one of the variables. We have our bonus usage scores, is already one of the variables. The next thing is our total scores, which is loyalty score plus this divided by 40. So I'll go back to this, my single formula I'm writing now, this single one, this one I'm writing, and I'll create another variable again. So instead of, you know, creating separate columns like that, I can use variable. So variable total scores equal to loyalty score variable plus bonus usage scores variable, like this. And what did we do to it? We divided by 40.
40, yeah.
So close, and divide by 40. So that was the next thing we did right here. Right here, we got our total scores. Then after the total scores, we now created this rule using another switch, right? Based on the total score. So I'll copy all of this rule like this, Control-C, and then come to this, my single table here, and create another variable again. So this variable is now, call it classification. It's going to be equals to the same formula, but I'm not looking at total scores. I'm looking at what? I'm not looking at that total scores that is there. I want to look at this one instead. I'm not looking at the total scores column. Okay. So what I'm going to do is so in DAX, if you select one thing, like, see, it always highlights everything that looks like that. So I'll just change everything at once. If I use Control and F2 like this, I can edit all of them together. I'll just edit them together as total scores like this. Then this one that highlighted all of them together. Okay, Control F2. It's this one highlighted all of them together. Control F2. Hit all of them together. Control F2. Yeah, then this one, like that. Okay, so check this. Now, remember, your output now is no longer this now, right? So my output is now, what am I outputting now in my return? Now, what will I have my return? Return what?
Return via classification.
Return the classification. DAX is crazy. DAX is crazy. So everything in one single formula right now. I think I should change the name of this column from number of subscriptions. Let's call it classification DAX method. And this is what we are going to have. Hopefully, everything still works fine. All the tier 1 here, they are also tier 1 here. All the tier 2 here, they are tier 2 here. All the tier 3, tier 3, and the tier 4s are also tier 4. Okay. So the last thing, final thing, is assuming that we were not working from the Power Query solution. You know, that Power Query solution already had the, it had some things there already before, right? A couple of work has. So assuming we're not working from that solution, what would we have done? So what we could have done is, let me delete all the unused columns first. All these columns. No, I hope I don't delete it. So right click and delete these columns. It's this one. Let's click, delete. It's this one. So we are rounding up. I know it's a lot. DAX can be very tiring, can be very confusing. There are too many rules to apply. Right click and delete this one and the last one. So if we did not have this Power Query to start with, and we're going to do this, what we could have done is to do a new table, table tools, new table. I'm just going to call this table new customer. So new customer, and probably just do values. That's to create a list of the customers, right? So values, customer account number, customer account number. Okay, so when you create this table like this, it gives you a list of all the account numbers from scratch, right? Now, if I go to my model view, I have that my new customers here, right? And this my new customers now, I need to make sure that it is connected to my customer transactions table. So I can connect the two of them together by the account number. So I have that table now connected. So from here now, I can now create what I created now. Okay, so from all of this one now, for example, this is my customers table. This is my classification I just did now. I can basically copy the formula, Control A, Control C, and I would have written everything afresh on this table, right? So new column, and the column is called, just paste it. The column is called, it's called classification DAX method. Try to check it. Hope I don't have to make any changes, and would have had the same results without relying on a DAX input. I mean, without relying on a Power Query input. And even Power Query was not there, it was not in the picture at all, right? So I only used that in the beginning so that we could compare both of them together. But if we're going DAX all the way, then this is how we could have tried to solve the problem. Okay? Yeah. So, any questions so far? So we are done with this, and it's a lot. So tell me, what does this make you feel about DAX? First, any questions first? Any questions first? If you have any questions, please let me know. Okay, so assume no questions. So my question is what does this make you feel about DAX? What do you think about DAX? What do you think? Just tell me what you think. Like, it's crazy, or I don't like it, or whatever. What do you think about DAX?
Well, for me, when most of us wanted to do data analytics, one of the things we were told is that it's low code. DAX is telling us you have to code. This DAX is a real trick.
It's really low code. Really, it's low code, but it takes time. It takes a lot of time to understand it. That's one. But I think the most important thing there is if you can define what you want to do into small steps logically. Now, forget about the DAX functions that you use now. Just use normal logic as much as possible to break it down. When you break it down with normal logic, then you can solve it with DAX. Because technically, that's what we have done here. Just breaking everything down. First of all, let's get all the tables first. After we get all the tables, let's now summarize them. Since we have some people that purchase more than once in a month. After summarizing them, now let's get a table that has all the subscriptions for everybody, right? That means when you don't subscribe, we don't want to count you. So give me all the subscriptions here, and then give me all the bonuses here as well. After you have given me all the subscriptions and all the bonuses, can you count all the subscriptions for me? Remember that subscriptions, we already removed the zeros from there. So it will only keep those ones that are not zeros. So when you count them, then can you also count for me all the bonuses used as well? Okay. Now, when we count all the bonuses used, you now say, actually, what I really need is bonuses that were not used. So you now say, okay, just do 6 minus the bonuses that were used. Now, based on that, you are now saying, okay, now that you have counted, I've seen all the counting. So right here, I did all my counting. I'm now saying that, okay, if that counting I did here, see, it's called count subscriptions. This is it. This is the count subscriptions here. So I'm saying if that counting that I did right up there amounts to 6, 20 points. If it amounts to 5, 15 points. If it amounts to 4, 10 points. Finish all of that. This will give me all my loyalty score. Then I go on to the bonus fee score. Now I'm saying, okay, now all these bonuses that I counted here, right, for every time up, the one that did not use. All these not used bonuses that are counted here. Now, can you check it for me? Check the bonuses not used. That's a switch. Switch bonuses not used. When it is 6, 20. When it is 5, 15. When it is 4, 10. You do all of that. That gives you your loyalty scores 2 places. I mean, your scores in 2 places. The loyalty and the bonus. So you create a total score to add up the loyalty and the bonus together. And then you divide by the overall grand total score, which is 40, so that you can get it in percentages. And that you have gotten it in percentages like this now, you are now trying to find out if those percentages fall within all of these ranges. If it falls between 85, this is the classification. If it is 75, this is the classification. So in very quick summary, that's all I've done.
Okay, Mr. Ahmed, I also have a question. Why didn't you convert the percentage to percentage rather than using decimal?
In the formula or in my table?
I think in the formula.
All right, so maybe I'll probably have to learn something from you right now. Like 85%, you mean?
Yes, 85.
Okay.
Yeah.
How does it work?
I don't know.
Yeah. So
Okay,
I don't know.
I guess.
I don't think this works. I don't think it works like this. In Excel, it might work, but it's not going to work here because this means text. So in your formula, as far as I know, you spell it out explicitly because
Okay.
85% is
85.
a format.
That's 85. Yeah.
Yeah. Putting the percentage is just a format. This is what it means.
Okay.
So you see how crazy this thing can get. And if you really want to make it crazy, like real crazy, then we're not going to use this column. We're going to write it as a measure. Then it's going to be really, really crazy. But I don't think we should do that, right?
Wow.
It's going to be really, really crazy, but it's still going to be close to what we have done now. Just add a couple of things to it. Okay? So that's how we used our complete 2 hours today from 7:15 to 9:15 West African time. And thank you very much. Hopefully, we are going to have a simpler case study, even though that's not the objective. The objective is to have complicated ones, right?
It's more
like
complicated.
I said, yeah, the objective is to have complicated case studies, not really simple ones. But some are going to sound complicated. They are going to look complicated, but they are going to require simple solutions. So my hope is that this month's case study is going to be one of those ones that is not going to be complicated. It might look like a complicated problem, but with a simple solution. All right, Olayinka, you have a question.
Yeah, Ahmed, please. It appears that the files you shared somehow didn't get to the chat.
Yeah, what?
Or did any other person see the files?
Okay, so if you join from the phone, you won't see it, except you join from your PC.
Oh.
Yeah, so this is it, right? If I go to YouTube right now, I think from the last class, I have it somewhere. The link to the data sets, I have it somewhere right here. So based on the profile of people, sorry, not based on anything profile right now. So the link is here. I'm going to share this link with you so that you can quickly get the data. It's right here. Yeah. I hope that's correct. Not that. I need the, that's not correct. The one I shared now is not correct. What I need is this Google Drive link. I don't share this. Okay, I'll just open the Drive link and I'll copy it like this. Yeah. So you can quickly, copy that link and try to get the data. Right?
Thank you.
Yeah, you can save that link somewhere as we try to end today's class. So thank you very much. I hope to see you again on the last Saturday of this month for the next case studies. So we have groups on Meetup just to manage the classes schedule. So you need to join on Meetup. You also need to join the group on Telegram so that you can always chat anytime you have questions, and can always remind you once we are about to start the classes as well. So once again, thanks for joining today. Hope to see you again sometime this month. Enjoy the rest of your day, of your nights.
Thank you. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Ahmed, have a good night. Bye, everyone.
Thanks. Bye.